Hello, I'm Dunia Bouessen, representing WomenEquity for Growth, and I'm informing Informila about what we are doing.
Hi, Dunia. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to Informulo. So you are launching 3 new funds aimed at women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the funds and what kind of women in Europe would qualify potentially for funding.
Okay, so we have 2 funds which are going to be European-wise, dealing with European growth companies, and we have one fund which is going to be very specific, a proximity fund working for French regions. So one fund is going to have a specific dimension looking for innovation companies. That is companies that have a certain amount of OPEX into R&D. So there is not potentially a sectoral bias that can be, but not always.
Right. So it could be in technology, it could be in something else, as long as they put what percentage?
15.
15%.
15.
50.
15.
15% of their revenues into research and development. Okay.
Absolutely.
And are you looking for a minimum amount of revenues?
So we are looking at what we could call later stage company. They have to have a product, they have to have a market, and at least one client, ideally. So we will be starting to look at companies when they have reached a minimum level of 2 million euros revenue. That being said, we could also consider strong value-added opportunity of investment for us, although the companies would not have met all the requirements, and in that case we would be developing ad hoc vehicles for in order to invest in those companies.
Okay, so you have one type of company where you have the innovation criteria and the percentage of R&D. What's the other?
It is going to be really women-led companies or companies that are having a specific, that are addressing specifically the issue of mixity in the directing instances, the management instances. So there is not going to be a sectoral bias, there is not going to be a geography bias in that question. We are only going to look for growth companies that need funds in order to develop themselves and provide a good return for investment for the investors who have just given us the assets to manage.
Okay, so you, in both of these funds, you have some help or a relationship with Brian Garnier. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. So Brian Garnier is the, how can I say, the launching arm for those funds, and he's going to, Brian Garnier is going to, this company is going to manage those funds, but there are going to be help because of the specific theme and the specific focus, and because also we believe that there are a certain number of biases that have been opposed to women, and therefore a specific kind of ecosystem has to be built in order to nurture for the better the companies, and this help is going to come from all the persons who are joining our project, which is WomenEquity for Growth, which is not only a think tank but also a network of highly educated, highly skilled professionals who think that things have to be done in order to address these issues and help sit at boards, give advice, and just build this ecosystem that is needed for any company to grow, but even more specifically so for women-led companies.
If I understand correctly, the think tank will be doing research so that there are hard numbers about how many women-led companies are actually receiving or not receiving funding in Europe. Then the idea is to set up a networking vehicle which will allow women, high net worth individual women, to learn about how to invest in companies led by other women. So it will be women helping women, although it's not exclusively, you certainly won't say no to money from men.
Absolutely, and we believe what we really want to do and what we would really like to see happen is something where this kind of specific focus won't have to exist anymore. But as this is not the case, and nobody can say it's the case, had they had a chance to look into the numbers you were just speaking. So we believe, yes, we have to help women network together. We have to help them invest in other companies, and we have to be sure that high-value companies, high-value proposition being put forward by women receive the money and the attention they deserve, simply.
Why do you feel so passionately about this subject? Do you feel like a lot of good companies are not gaining traction because women are not getting the attention they should from male venture capitalists, for example?
Yeah, and this has been very much documented. Not specifically in Europe, although we know we have the same problem, but a lot of data has been produced on that aspect. For example, we know that VCs are less looking at women-led companies because there are less serial entrepreneurs amongst women, and there are less serial entrepreneurs because, well, if you didn't get a first round of funding and so on and so on, of course, you don't have the ability to exit and restart. So it is something like a vicious circle that has to be dealt with. Should we look at the small amount of data and research that has been put on the subject in Europe, we know that women actually are receiving a very small amount of funds, of VC funds, and what we know is that they are using, when they receive it, less money, but giving higher
results.
Absolutely. And we even have the numbers. So men-led companies are receiving something like 14 million on average. Women, it's about 9 million, and the revenue, the average revenue of the funded companies are higher for women, which is around 11 to 12 million, whereas it is nearing 10 million for men on average basis. So we consider that not only we have to bring those funds to women-led companies, we are most certain that there is going to be very high returns on the companies we are going to invest in.
Okay, now you've got a project or conference launching today, March 8th.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So March 8th is the day for
International Women's Day.
Absolutely, International Women's Day. The first occurrence was in 1910. I think it was Clara Zetkin who launched the idea, and it's been followed more or less for something like 100 years. So normally it's a day where things are, very sad things are being told. You know how difficult things are, and they are sometimes for some women in some regions, and we know that very well. But we wanted to do something a bit different, and say, well, hey, there is also space for hope and for just joy at looking at good results and looking at incredible persons who have made lovely proposition and are building incredible role models. And we would like to give specific insights on those women going from 1910 to 2010, and specifically business and finance women, of course. And although we know that it's been a very hard period in Europe for women between 1930 and 1960s, we still have some nice surprise to tell you about.
Great. So thank you very much, and
You're welcome.
congratulations on a fabulous initiative.
Thank you.